Yo, what's up? My name is Petrowski and welcome to my Christmas event preparation guide. Alright, I'm going to be breaking this video up into 4 parts. What we know so far and any already given information, speculations and possibilities and what possibly could happen, covering the past events and all of the information and guides and methods that we have for that, and then the conclusion and how to prepare for the event based on what happens. But first things first, if this video was helpful for you, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Alright, so let's go ahead and move into what we know so far and already previously given information. So this tab is going to be talking about past events and taking inferences from that information, and then also making some newer kind of conclusions and what we know so far and already given information. So in the past, you usually don't need your own Pokemon or resources to participate in the Christmas event. It's usually very open-ended, and they're going to supply everything, and it'll be more of a strategy-based event. We also know that they finished the line of vanity items that they had prepared for the event and multiple events over the previous years last year. So they kind of finished the vanity based around the event. So what that means is there's a decent chance there's an entirely new event designed for this year. But I do think which direction it goes in terms of whether it's an entirely new event or just reusing the old event comes down to how much effort and how much work the devs do want to put into this year's event and how much time they have available. So it just comes down to that, in my opinion. It's probably honestly a totally 50-50 chance of whether they just revamp the old event with newer items or just do an entirely new event. It's a lot of work to design an entire event. Like the event that they've had in the past is so intricate, it's very much like a dungeon-based run, and we'll cover that in the past events covered slides coming up, but I do want to touch on that vaguely. The past event has been very strategy based. You have to think a lot, and you also needed a group of 4 in the past. You didn't absolutely have to have a group of 4, but it is just so monumentally important, and most players won't even be able to complete the event with a group of 3. A group of 4 was basically needed, but not exactly needed, if that makes sense. I just couldn't. I think most players should absolutely be looking for that group of 4. It's just so much more objectively beneficial. So please make sure you can try to get a group of 4 together heading into the Christmas event if that's going to be needed again this year. And of course, you can make a ton of shmoney. Events are always kind of the best money-making method in-game while they're around, so make sure you can abuse them properly while they're here. Alright, moving on to speculations and possibilities. So these are kind of all of the options that I've put together on what the event could end up being. So it could end up being the same event plus new rewards, which I've talked about vaguely. They could incorporate some sort of catching event. I could definitely see them incorporating catching into the event, similar to the way Halloween swarms work, kind of having that particle effect implementation. Or maybe you could have to travel across the world to catch like quote-unquote presents, which were basically Pokemon battles, but instead they would replace the Pokemon with it'd be like an overworld sprite kind of gift you like talk to. It'd be like, kind of like a hide and seek thing, just similar to other events, and you would have to like go catch those presents and then like deliver them to children. You would like get some sort of reward via that. So there's some options. That's straight up like scheming and speculating. That's all personal speculation. Please don't take that seriously in any way. But we're kind of just speculating. So we just don't know what could happen this year. It's just all we could do is speculate and try to prepare in any possible ways we can. The third option would be an entirely new event with PVM where you actually do need Pokemon and items and resources, but I think that is the least likely option by far. Christmas is all about giving and all about generosity, so I think they really want like everyone possible to be able to participate, where like the Halloween event is a little more difficult, a little more exclusive. You kind of need some Pokemon, some resources, some capital, etc. But I feel like with the Christmas event, they usually go very open with it, although you do need to learn a lot and it can be really difficult with the strategy implemented. And then the fourth option is they just do an entirely new event, but it's still similar and still like strategy based, to where you're not going to need Pokemon and resources or catching or anything like that. They're going to supply you everything, and then you kind of just need to learn the strategy and learn the event from there. Those are kind of my personal, those are the 4 options that could happen in my opinion. But once again, that is all speculation. Please keep that in mind and take all of this with a massive grain of salt, and just understand I'm trying to help you guys prepare in any possible way. Alright, and now on to past events covered. So this is going to be the most difficult tab and the most difficult subject to cover. There's 3 links that I will also be leaving in the description, but I'm going to vaguely cover them now in this video. But if you want to look at them in more depth, go ahead and click the links in the description below. Alright, so the first link and piece of information we're covering is actually going to be the official dev blog post about the update for Christmas last year in 2020. So we can also infer that they're probably going to release the event around December 24th, as that's the same date they did last year. You can see that listed right here. They usually release the events kind of like on the exact day, or like, yeah, very close to it. I believe it was probably December 24th at midnight is probably what happened, or around that time period. Anyways, so we can go ahead and look through a brief overview of the event and get a little more understanding into it if you've never done the Christmas event before. So, return to Twist Mountain. Twist Mountain is basically the name of the dungeon and the area you're going to be traversing. Twist Mountain is a Christmas-themed co-op event for 2 to 4 players. Once again, I heavily recommend 4 players. Trade with your friends, build the best bots so you can defeat the rogue elves. So what's going to happen is you're going to have different players, and you're all going to pick a different Pokemon type, and they're going to be assigned moves based on the type you pick. And we're going to be going over that in much more detail in the next link, but for now, this is just a brief overview. This instance is accessible in Vermilion, Slateport City, Hearthome, and Castelia, so you can access this in any of the main cities and any of the regions. And that's basically it in terms of event details. They basically make you figure out everything on your own, and we'll go ahead and cover a more in detailed document talking about strategy and talking about what the community found from here on out. Alright, so this is a little dated, but I do think this document is so incredible and so important, and we should really be thankful for the people that made it, because there's so much information here. And I'm going to be linking this in the description below. I'm going to vaguely cover it here, but if you guys want the more in-depth information, please follow this link to the document below in the description. Anyways, they talk about here, so page 1 has straight up information. It has stats and moves that your elf bot that you get at the start, so that's really nice. And then page 2 has the stats and the moves the enemy elf bots has, so straight up information. Obviously, huge disclaimer, these could be totally subject to change, and these might not still be the same. So please be aware of this, and just use this as kind of a general guide and a general stream of information, as opposed to fact of law. And then page 3, they have a huge disclaimer. Data is no longer relevant. The formula has been changed and has been fixed. So very important. Page 4 has important notes for running through it, and then page 5 has a map of the main area, and then some other item locations. I believe the map is still accurate, as at least in terms of 2020's event. This document was made in 2018 by some community members, so thank you so much to them. And then I played the event a little bit back in 2020, but I never played too many events up until then. But anyways, on to your elf bots. So here, the really nice graph, really nice chart, kind of showing you guys, typing, the ability you get, all of your moves, and then the base stats. I'm not going to cover this. You guys can go ahead and click this, click the link in the description to look at that in more detail. Enemy elf bots, this shows some important stats of the enemies. It seems that enemy elf bots, except for flying, have at least 10 plus speed than the friendly elf bots you choose from the start, so they'll all be kind of faster. I don't know if that's still accurate, but that's really important to consider. And then they all had self-destruct. I don't know if this is still the case, but that's a really important thing to consider. And then you guys can look at this in more detail in the links below. And then a lot of this data has been changed. That's not really important. And then, but this is probably the most important thing, in my opinion. So important notes when running through. This is just really important tips and information that they found when participating in the event. Probably the most important part of this document, in my opinion. So resetting your class, basically re-choosing your typing, will reset any EVs. And what this means is you can gain EVs through gift boxes throughout the event. So that's really important to know. And once again, sorry, I know I'm saying this again, but I want to make a big disclaimer. This is talking about previous events, 2018 and 2020 events. So this might not be the event that we see this year. Please keep that in mind. Okay, moving on. Every 1 to 2 waves of enemies remaining, blah, blah, blah. Probably raises your EVs. Okay, they're just saying more stuff. When this happens, enemies respawn, they'll be stronger and take less damage. So each wave of enemies becomes more difficult as waves go on. There's these things called healing gifts placed around the map. And if you're full health and someone picks up a healing gift, you will not restore PP or get healed in any regard. I don't know if this is still the case, but I do know that it's important to coordinate healing box pickups. I remember that being a part of the event last year. If you find a healing box, don't pick it up immediately. Be in link chat. Say, hey guys, I found a healing box. Is everyone ready to pick it up? You know, make sure to communicate. A really, really important thing during this event is just going to be communicating and learning alongside people in link chat. And make sure to be patient. It is a Pokemon game. The community is generally older, but there could be some kids online, and you know, some people just learn differently. Just try to be patient and try to be polite to people. If you're playing with randoms and queuing with randoms and grouping with a random group, try to have that patience. It's going to be a team-based effort, so just keep that in mind. This is a really, really important thing. If you are 8-ish or more tiles away from your partners and encounter an enemy, your partner will not join the battle, and it will be a 1v1. This is super, super important because one of the biggest pieces of strategy throughout this event is you have a group of 4, right? The best strategy last year was to separate in 2 groups of 2, and you want to always stick together and kind of run around and operate, because if you enter a battle, your partner who's near you will also enter that battle, and it'll be a 2v1, which makes it a lot easier. But it being a 1v1 makes it 1,000 times more difficult. Okay, and then moving on to the map. I believe this map is actually still pretty accurate, at least in terms of like the main layout and everything. There's kind of like this center you spawn in. There's some dead end kind of tunnels and caves. It's a mountain. Think of any sort of mountain in PokeMMO, like especially in Unova. It's very, very similar to any of those mountains in Unova, where you have like the kind of bridges and kind of like overarching woodworks over top of the mountain. You can like kind of travel in and out and go down up in floors. There are going to be like Christmas presents and healing gifts and EV gifts placed all around the map. I don't think that these spots are still the same. See how they have like EV gifts here and here and the healing gifts? I think it's random. I think this is like not, the item spots isn't accurate, but I believe the map itself is pretty accurate, so I would go ahead and like keep that, think about that, keep that in memory if possible, and at least like you could use this map alongside the event. If the event comes out and it's the same event as previous years, this map is going to be excruciatingly helpful, and I really recommend clicking the link below, kind of checking out this map, or at least using this video to kind of keep this map up and around during the event. Okay, but that actually covers everything for that document, and that was the main piece of information. And then the last link is just going to be a YouTube video with kind of general gameplay and to give you guys more of a hands-on feel of what the event looks like. If you don't learn super well from reading, I super understand that, and I wanted to kind of address multiple types of learning in this video. So hopefully if those first 2 resources don't work for you and don't give you too much information and don't explain things well, go ahead and check out the 3rd link. I'm not going to be covering that in this video because it's just kind of like a general gameplay loop of the event, but I'll go ahead and put that in the description below, and I heavily recommend checking it out and watching it for a couple minutes and get more of a feel of the event. Alright, now on to conclusions and how to prepare based on the outcome and based on what event comes out. I wanted to make this very, very simple. So if it's the same event, prep money and learn the previous year's strategies. Really important. If it's catching incorporated, prep a catching Smeargle and Breloom. If it's a new event with PVM, prep Typhlosions with Eruption and prep some sort of Typhlosion team, maybe a Crocodile, some other really good PVM Pokemon. And then if it's a new event similar to the previous event with strategy and you don't need resources, also prep money and strategy. So you want to learn the old, this one's a little more different though. You want to learn the old strategy a little bit on top of preparing and being more speculative about future possible strategies. If you want to be the most prepared possible for the upcoming event, it might be in your best interest to go ahead and do all of these, like prepare all of these if you can. Go ahead and prep some money, do your gym runs every day. I'm aiming to do gym runs at least 5 out of 7 days every week up until the event. That's kind of my goal. And then Typhlosions help with gym runs, so if you already have those, you have those. Catching Smeargle and Breloom help with the game. So preparing for this event is also just going to help you, play PokeMMO and prepare for PokeMMO. So you kind of get to prepare for the event in possible ways alongside preparing for the PokeMMO just journey like normally outside of events. So preparing for this event in every way possible isn't going to hurt you by any regard. It's just going to take some extra time. So if you have that time and you want to be the most prepared for this event possible, go ahead and get everything. Prep that money, learn the strategy, get a Smeargle or Breloom, get those Typhlosions, get that Krook, get that Shmoney, you know, do everything you possibly can. Alright, but I think that covers everything. I really hope this guide was helpful to you guys, and once again, if it was helpful, please let me know in the comments, like this video, subscribe, show the support in whatever way you can to let me know you guys liked it and it was beneficial to you guys. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and have a fantastic day.